Hey, welcome back, survivors. Got another great show for you. I'm Ronnie.
John, Camille.
And tonight we're going to be talking about a movie theater incident that occurred. It was a few years back where an elderly gentleman claims that he was protecting himself. And we'll go into all that in a little bit.
Okay, today's beer moment is brought to you by Kenny's Grocery, located at 1792 in French Avenue in Orange City, Florida. Okay, the beer we're going to try today is brewed in Central Florida. It's Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company. It's called Joyland American IPA. Admit one.
All right.
All right.
All right, let's try this bad mammer jammer.
So I'm going to give this about a 6. Because it's just I'm not a big IPA fan, but I like it for what it is.
I think it's a hoppy shock top. I'm going to give it a 6 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll stick the same. Yeah, 6. I like it.
Definitely.
All right, we're going to talk about our next two sponsors, and we have a new sponsor. I'm
excited about that.
We are extremely excited about this. We have Kristen and Tom Clem from Exit Realty have come on board, and Clem and Company Property Investment, they have come on board, and we are super excited. We appreciate you guys for helping us out with the show. Thank you very much. And we will have all of their information in the description below. So make sure if you're in the need of a house or anything here in the Central Florida area, that you give these guys a call. They are super fantastic folks. Tom is a Marine veteran, a law enforcement officer at this time. He does this as his other job. And Kristen was a former teacher, and this is her full-time job. These guys are absolutely fantastic. Make sure you check them out, please.
All right. And then we have another sponsor.
We do.
An old standby sponsor. Who is it? Who might that be, Ronnie?
That is going to be CNR Constructors. They are a general contractor here in the Central Florida area. They specialize in home remodels, business build or commercial build outs. Thanks everyone for being sponsors for the show. We really appreciate it. Without you guys as sponsors, it'd be really hard to get some of the gear we have. So thank you.
And if any of you are interested in sponsoring Surviving the Badge, just reach out to us. You can email us at retiredcopsrule@gmail.com, or if you have any other comments that you want to make, like, you guys suck. Hopefully you don't say that. More like, hope you guys are great. Send us an email, retiredcopsrule@gmail.com. You can also comment for us in YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, Instagram,
anywhere
TikTok.
you look, we're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we're going to talk about our fallen officer moment. So as of when I left my office, there was 65 officers killed this year in the line of duty. 9 of it which were gunfire, 14 auto, and 40 by COVID. And in the next episode, we'll talk about the trends.
Okay.
So to our fallen officers, may you rest in peace.
Salute, gentlemen.
Salute.
To you and all of your families, God bless you.
Absolutely. So I have to admit my mistake when I was doing the trivia. We didn't expect the response we got on the Green River Killer incident question, so we had to do some rule changes. And so if you want a sticker for answering the trivia question, you have to be the first one.
It looks just like this, guys, only smaller version. It's really nice.
Yeah. So if you want to get one of these stickers, answer the trivia question in the comment section of YouTube. You know, Bob Smith or whatever.
You have to be the first.
The first one
to correctly answer the question.
Correctly, yes, because we are getting a lot still continuously on And do comment in YouTube, because I know the three of us, we go on whenever we can, and we will respond to the comments as often as we can in YouTube. We're not just going to take the comments and just blow you off. We actually do read them, and we appreciate them, and we do respond to them.
I was just going to say that, we appreciate it because it kind of gives us some feedback, on what we're doing. And did you guys like the show? It's awesome, guys. Please comment.
And we've had some good conversations back and forth from others viewers.
Absolutely. We absolutely have.
So, and we
even some other
that.
channels popped in. Other YouTube channels popped in. So
it's really good stuff. So today's trivia question, John Dillinger, which we all remember. I mean, I think LT ran with him, back in the day, back in the day of the Great Depression. So he and his gang were responsible for 24 banks. And did you know that they actually robbed 4 police stations too?
Oh, wow.
I don't know why you rob a police station, but maybe for guns. I don't know. But in killings and gangland style killings and stuff like that, July 22nd. 1934 in Chicago, he was leaving a theater and he was finally caught and gunned down by the police and the FBI. The first person to correctly answer what was the name of the theater that he was leaving when this happened, when he was gunned down with a Tommy gun, probably. That's how I see it in my head.
Yeah. Him and Pretty Boy Floyd.
Right, exactly. The first one to respond correctly in the comment section on YouTube will get a awesome Surviving the Badge classic sticker.
Yes, retro.
And, retro, and LT will send that out. You've been sending out stickers quite a few lately.
Okay, tonight we're going to discuss it goes by many names. The movie theater murder, the popcorn murder. What happened is January 13, 2014, Curtis Reeves and his wife went to the 120 showing of the movie Lone Survivor in Tampa, as did Chad and Nicole Olsen. The Olsen sat in front of the Reeves, not necessarily directly in front. I think there were like 1 or 2 seats to the right, but in the aisle in front of them. And Chad Olsen was using his cell phone. I believe he was texting, or that's what was said. And his wife Nicole said they were actually checking on their child, who was left at daycare because she had taken the day off from work to go on a date with her husband.
Is that a thing? Do people really go on dates with husbands?
Yep.
And we have a picture of
Curtis Reeves.
Yeah, he's on the screen now.
This is, at the time, we'll get into what happened, but he's the shooter. Curtis Reeves is the shooter. Okay. He asked or told Chad Olsen to please stop texting because the previews had started, so the lights had gone down, and he said it was interrupting his ability to watch a movie. Apparently that was met with a very confrontational, couple of F-bombs and things like that, F you and all that stuff, and it escalated into an argument. Curtis Reeves said that something was thrown at his face. He believes it was a cell phone, hit him in the face, and at that point, Chad Olsen grabbed the popcorn that Reeves had on his lap and flinged it at him. Now, keep in mind, Curtis Reeves at the time was 71 years old. Chad Olsen, and I think you have a picture of Chad.
I do.
Okay, he was 43 at the time. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so supposedly the cell phone was thrown at Curtis Reeves. Strike one, or first incident.
His picture's on there now.
Then Chad Olsen picks up the popcorn and throws it at him. And Curtis Reeves is a retired police officer, and he was carrying a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And
Legally.
Okay. Well, sort of legally.
Okay.
Well, yes, legally.
Okay.
Yes, legally. I'm not going to say what. There was no doubt that it was legal.
Okay.
But based on the situation Curtis Reeves found himself in, he felt he was in danger of serious bodily injury or death. So he shot Chad Olsen, killing him. And
how many shots were fired?
I believe 1.
Okay.
And struck him in the chest. And while It also hit his wife's, or it hit Nicole Olson, Chad's wife, hit her finger and causing damage to that. Curtis Reeves was arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and second-degree murder. Okay, so who is Curtis Reeves? Curtis Reeves, at the time, was 71 years old. He's a retired SWAT commander of the Tampa PD. I believe he was actually the founder of the SWAT team. Chad Olson, again, I said he was 43 years old. He's a Navy vet, worked at a power sports dealer, and was an active jet skier and motocross. Okay, so
Did Olson have a criminal history?
I do not know if he had a criminal history. I didn't look into that.
Okay.
It's actually fairly irrelevant.
Okay. I'm just wondering,
Right.
just for
Okay,
background information.
So that's basically what happened, and there was some video surveillance, and basically the video surveillance didn't show the phone being thrown. So that's more Curtis Reeves' statement. The phone was found behind him, but he said, they examined and said he didn't have any injuries from the phone.
Because he said something hit him in the face,
Correct.
but there was nothing visual
Correct.
when they looked. Okay.
Correct. So Curtis Reeves, retired SWAT commander, 71 years old. Chad Olson, 43-year-old Navy vet, worked at power sports and was active jet skier and motocross. We're doing this story tonight because on February 25th of this year, Curtis Reeves was acquitted of all charges. And the only other thing was that I was going to talk about or just mention was on March 11, 2017, Curtis Reeves did apply for a stand your ground motion, and that was denied by the judge.
Do you want to tell everybody what essentially in the state of Florida, where we can speak to?
Well, I was actually going to let one of you guys talk about what is stand your ground.
Okay.
And so
we in the state of Florida, at least I know, you're allowed to defend yourself.
Correct.
If you feel that you need to defend yourself, somebody punches you in the face, you can punch them back. If they use deadly force against you, you can. If there's a threat of great bodily injury or death, you can use deadly force to combat that, to survive either for yourself, a loved one, or actually somebody else, a stranger, a complete stranger. So you do not have to flee.
you don't have to retreat.
Right.
But one of the things is you must lawfully be where you're at.
Right. You can't be the instigator.
And, well, I'm saying, like, you have to lawfully be at the movie theater.
Right.
Or
You can't break into somebody's house.
Right, you're breaking into someone's house or stealing a TV.
Right,
or whatever.
and
So you
claim
have to be
stand your ground. Right.
lawfully doing what you're doing.
Right.
And then, you can't be the... And that's one of the things that kind of gets confused, I think, a lot when people discuss the stand your ground. You can't be the aggressor.
Right. This is a strictly a defensive defensive
But
request.
define what an aggressor is. The allegation here is Chad Olson
Right.
was using his cell phone in the theater,
Yep.
which is rude. They tell you not to,
Right.
please don't use your cell phone and all that stuff.
Who was that girl from Full House? The little twins, the Olsen twins.
Oh.
How rude!
Oh.
But, so Curtis...
But is that considered aggression?
Well, what I'm saying is Curtis Reeves either asked or told, of course, Nicole Olson, Chad's widow, said that he was very aggressive.
Of course.
And,
Yeah.
But by telling someone, please hang up the phone or hang up that phone, whatever, and apparently he had tried to get the management involved and stuff like that.
In the trial, was there any witnesses outside of the spouses that could speak to, I heard this or I saw it this way?
Right. I don't think there was much. No, but I don't think there was much dispute over.
But they could testify.
disputed-
They could testify to how things were said, what was thrown, as an outside objective.
There was
witness.
no witness to say yes, a phone was thrown or not.
Okay.
Okay. So they did have.
I mean, there should have if there was a phone thrown, it would probably be.
Well, it was located there, but it could have been thrown. He could have dropped it when he was shot. I mean,
I got you.
there are other explanations as
when
to
he
why.
jumped up, it could have been in his lap, jumped up,
Right,
fell
there-
out, slid
so-
underneath the chair. You know, who knows?
Reed said that he did throw. He felt something hit him in the face,
Right.
hard, that he believed was a phone. And part of the reason he believed that was because after the whole thing happened, the phone was right there by him.
Right.
So
You may have said this, but I'm just asking because I don't remember if he did because I was messing with this. Was the phone allegedly thrown and then he immediately fired the shot?
supposedly, and this all took, and this is important that you have to remember. There's a video of the snatching of the popcorn
Okay.
and throwing at him. Throwing the popcorn.
Did you see the
in
video?
fire. I did not watch the whole video.
Okay.
Because it was too long. It was
Okay.
It was 1.3 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't see
Right,
anything
yeah.
on it.
I
It's
got
just
you. Right. Okay.
this all occurred within 1.3 seconds.
As they often do.
And the video did not have the cell phone because the item that was allegedly thrown, that was not there.
Right.
Okay, so, but in 1.3 seconds, he has to, he made a decision.
Right.
Okay, now, he was charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and second-degree murder. Okay, so now, what needs to be proven to the jury to get second-degree murder?
Well, first degree murder is planned.
Okay,
Second degree murder is the killing of somebody that's not planned, but it's also not accidental, as if it was a manslaughter.
okay.
So you got first degree planned.
Mm-hmm.
You come home. Somebody comes home and finds their wife
Spouse.
and their spouse in bed with the tennis instructor, and they knew about this and they planned this all along, and they come in and they shoot them both dead. First degree. They planned it, or they
Come in,
they
find
come
them,
in surprised.
Didn't know about it. Pull your gun out. Boom, 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 boom. Crime of passion. Second degree.
Second degree. I often tell this to my students because I have an older ballistic vest in my classroom, and I give this example as for manslaughter. I say, okay, so and so and so and so, you steal my bulletproof vest from the classroom, and you take it home. You say, hey, I bet it still works. I'll shoot you with it. And they shoot each other. One who shoots it and it doesn't work and it goes through him, kills them. That's more of a manslaughter situation because it did cause a
The intent
death.
was not to. The intent
There was
not to kill.
no intent to kill. Second
Right,
degree,
it was on purpose,
Right, the act was on purpose,
but it wasn't the intent to kill that
right.
person.
First degree and second degree is intent to kill. One's planned, one's not planned. Manslaughter, it ends up being dead, but it was
Right.
through reckless
Gotcha.
action.
okay. So
So the timeline, as I get it, is the possible cell phone was thrown, then the popcorn was also thrown, and then the gunshot.
correct.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, and that gets me.
Now, you were going to talk about his carrying. Did he have a concealed weapon?
Well, the reason
or
I
was he
said-
retired carry?
He was lawfully carrying it. The reason I said I don't want to say it was lawful. Well, it was, but it wasn't lawful. The widow Nicole filed suit against the theater because it's a weapons-free zone.
Okay.
So she sued them because they didn't do enough to ensure that it was weapons-free.
Right. Now,
So,
Metal detectors. All
but
that.
was it lawful? He wasn't violating the law. He was violating the rules
well,
of the
technically it is the law.
Establishment.
Because you, even if you have it.
technically trespassing. No.
No, I'm not saying trespassing. If you carry concealed firearm, you have the permit, you still have to comply with owner's property rules.
Okay.
I can't say, well, you know what? I got a gun. I'm good. No, if Ronnie LT owns LT's bar bar doesn't count because you can't carry a gun in a bar, but LT's tackle shop, no guns allowed. Even if I'm carrying a concealed legally, I still have to leave it in my car.
Well,
because
you're talking about Florida concealed weapons law, correct?
yes.
What about what is it, HR 19?
HR.
You know, I don't know
219.
enough
Yeah.
about
Okay.
HR 219 to speak to that.
It says
What
you
is
can carry
it?
it anywhere.
Anywhere?
Anywhere.
Bars?
Bars anywhere.
Jails?
I don't know about
I
jails.
believe I believe government facilities where it's prohibited,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah. Because in Florida.
So I mean, legitimate question. I honestly
right,
don't know.
in the state of Florida, if you have a concealed weapons permit, you may not bring it into, sheriff's office, police departments, government buildings, like you said, city halls, bars. And I tell when I teach the class, even if you go to Chili's and they say, well, the dining is full, but we have seats at the bar. If you're carrying, you can't go sit at the bar. It's a violation.
Can you sit at the high tops in the bar?
No, you can sit in the dining area.
The high tops. In the
Well, no. I mean,
if you-
legitimate question.
If you
No.
and what's
Sit
funny
at the bar is like at the
right,
bar, like
in
right
the
here.
bar area, no.
Okay.
And if you next time you're in Chili's, look at it because it's a well defined area that's dining area
Right.
and bar area.
No,
If
I
you-
understand.
Yeah, if you're carrying concealed, you may not go into the bar area.
Again, that's Florida law.
Right.
We're not talking about other states, and they may have.
Yeah,
their
I
own.
can't speak to that, but I do know Florida law, and I don't know enough to speak about what is it HR? What is it? 219?
218.
218. Which why don't you LT tell us what that is?
It is a bill that was actually brought into play by
George W. Bush.
No, I almost said Osama. By Obama,
Okay.
and it is for retired police officers only. They have to be retired, have a retired
In good standing.
Right, retired identification card says they are a retired police officer. They have to qualify once per year on a 40-round course,
Which you did last week.
just last weekend, and it gives them the right to carry in all 50 states, no matter what their law is. Even if they're local law, state law, this circumvents all of those
New
laws.
York City, Chicago.
You can carry, absolutely.
But you still have to comply with their regulations with a high capacity magazine, which in some that's
so if
over
you go to
6.
California
right?
and you're carrying a Glock, you can't have a magazine more than
I think
10
6.
rounds.
Is it 10?
I think it's 10.
Okay.
What if you're only? Well, I know we're really getting into the weeds. If you're only carrying 6, is that compliant?
The magazine itself is illegal,
Okay.
as far as I understand.
Right. I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay. So.
I know we went off track just a little bit.
Yeah, so Curtis Reeves was a retired SWAT commander, obviously a police officer, 71 years old. Chad Olson, 43-year-old Navy vet, worked at a power sports dealer. You saw the picture of him earlier. Looked like he was in good shape and all that stuff. Some of the things I want to talk about, because he was acquitted, Curtis Reeves was acquitted of shooting him over this incident that
he was
already
acquitted
went
of
over.
all charges.
All charges. Okay, so now, one thing I do want to point out, though, he was charged with the crime. So when you want to talk about how police are, protected and they don't, he was charged by law enforcement with the crime. So he wasn't given special treatment or anything like that. He was acquitted by a jury of civilians, not even of his peers, of civilians.
So this happened in 2014.
Yes.
In January. Do you know when he was actually charged? There was probably an investigation. Was it like?
I don't
Was
know
it
if he was specifically
normal-ish?
charged, but I mean, he was arrested
Okay.
the day of the incident.
Oh, okay. So he was arrested that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're talking about the fact, and a lot of people are upset with the fact that he was a police officer, and he should have had a better response to this incident. I'm not there. I wasn't there. I can't talk about.
Well, it is an opinion show, so I think it's important that we actually, at the end of this, we talk about what we feel.
One of the things I want to talk about is when we went through the academy, and whenever we went over defensive tactics, our use of force matrix, and all that stuff. One of the things we always had to consider was subject and officer factors.
Yes.
Ronnie, you want to tell us what the subject and officer factors are? And not all of them, but just like kind of why we had
Give some
that.
Cliff's notes on it.
Yeah. Let's say you're 5'6", 130 pounds, and a person comes up to you
Like I am.
starts shit, and they are my size, 6'3", 300 pounds. There's going to rise another level of use of force in response to this person due to their size or their apparent ability. You know, if they're wearing freaking Joe Bob's Karate black belt instructor, probably is a black belt in karate, and that also figures into it. Their size, their age, their weight, their abilities, their experience, their training. All of that figures into the officer factor and the suspect factor.
So our shooter 71, our victim 40.
Well, yeah, the deceased
40,
43.
Right. So there is quite a few years in
Yeah, about 4 decades.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so that's significant.
Now, how big was?
I actually
deceased.
tried to find his actual size, and I couldn't find it.
Did they not bring that up in the trial? Because I mean, you
didn't
would
see
think
it
that I
anywhere.
would, if
I
I were
would-
one of the attorneys, I would bring in officer factors.
Right, but one of the things is, it was also positioning because Curtis Reeves was in a seated position,
Okay.
and apparently Chad Olson had stood up,
Had the high ground.
so he had the high ground, which is something that is significant,
Right.
because now if you watch MMA and things like that, and it was made famous, all over the news with the George Zimmerman Trayvon Martin thing.
I thought it was more Star Wars.
well,
with
but-
Obi-Wan Kenobi and.
I'm going to talk about the ground and pound.
Oh, okay. Right.
You're over someone and you can just keep punching down on them. And you have so much more leverage, so much more power.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So now, what Reeves said,
Did he take the stand?
he did.
Okay.
And he said, I was never so afraid and never saw someone so out of control in my life. But in the news, they were reporting it as, you're a police officer. How could you not do that? But number one, many times officers don't become victims because they don't put themselves in a situation to become a victim.
Right.
Officers always, back to the wall.
Yep.
I got to face the door.
My
all
wife,
that stuff.
my wife still does that. Hey, you want to sit with? Yeah, I want to sit there.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I go out to dinner with my family, it's like, nope, that's my seat.
Wasn't Wild Bill Hickok shot in the back?
I think so.
He was facing the saloon and
And just a point of order, I looked it up real quick because I am a research department.
you are
over here.
the whole research department.
The I'm big enough to be the whole research department.
I wasn't saying that.
Smart ass. Gun-free zones. Airplanes, federal buildings.
Okay.
Okay. Anywhere else. And
So
you
those
can't-
are the restrictions.
Yes,
Okay.
and you can't be under the influence of any hallucinogenic drugs, narcotics, or alcohol at the time. So if you go to a bar, you better be drinking Sprite. Doesn't say you can't go to the bar.
Right.
It says you
Just
can't be under the influence of
under the
alcohol.
influence.
New Jersey tried to limit ammunition for retired law enforcement officers, said you couldn't carry hollow points. That got overturned, so whatever. But yeah,
Okay.
gun-free zones, not allowed.
All right.
So,
So
that
no
answers
school.
that.
So
nothing.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you cannot carry it in a gun-free zone.
Cannot.
Okay.
You have to abide by that gun-free
Okay.
zone. Yes.
Okay.
But a gun,
So-
but a theater by law is not a gun-free zone.
Unless it is deemed by the owner no guns allowed. I believe that's probably going to be considered
Okay, because
a
I thought
gun-free
it was
zone.
by statute.
It doesn't say that. It just
Okay.
says a gun-free
Okay.
zone.
Well,
Okay.
we're still confused.
If you guys know any better,
They don't know any better.
We're just
Our
a
research
couple.
department is kind of
yeah, I mean,
lacking on
this
this
guy, right?
Oh yeah, because he had all the answers, didn't he? Not. Good.
Anyway, if any attorneys, I'm sure there's a plethora of attorneys listening. Just shoot us a comment.
Hi, Jim. I don't know. who
Shoot
Jim
us a
is.
comment in the comment section. That's a little redundant.
Someone might
Sorry.
be upset. I want to change that to hi, Amanda.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
All
Yeah, you
right.
have an attorney in your family.
I
dude.
know. I know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Amanda, yeah, that's your dad. Just saying.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let me ask you this: Why did the judge deny the stand your ground? Did he give a ruling, or is it just no?
It was basically, the stand your ground indicates that you have to. I think it was more on the fact that you don't have the opportunity to retreat.
Okay.
I think that was. I think she just said it does not apply in this case.
Okay. And that's a ruling. Okay.
Right, and that's the ruling. But one of the interesting things about the stand your ground law, okay, is technically you're not even supposed to be charged or detained.
Yeah.
If that is your defense. And
see, I think that's BS.
Well, it's hard to do that.
It is. If I'm a police officer and I got probable cause
Correct.
for aggravated battery and second-degree murder, I'm charging somebody.
Right.
Because it's not my job as a police officer to determine charging.
I agree.
Right.
Totally agree.
And or specific defenses.
Right. I have nothing to do with defenses.
I mean, and there are many people I've taken to jail where they're like, hey, this is why I did what I did. That's great. Tell your attorney.
Right.
I mean,
I got probable cause to take it to jail.
one of the best was when I take someone just for driving with a suspended license. My attorney told me I could drive. That's great. The judge didn't tell you could drive. Your attorney is, so sue your attorney.
When I was an FTO and when I was a detective, I had to, you have to train new officers and new detectives. And one of the things I had to really drive home was when you arrest somebody, all you need is probable cause. You are not the person to determine beyond a reasonable doubt.
Correct.
That's beyond, because I had a lot of officers, a lot of new detectives are like, well, I don't know if this is this is a winnable case. No.
Not your problem.
Do you have probable cause to make this arrest? Yes. Then make the arrest. Mm-hmm. And then you give it to the state attorney and they decide. Well, you were a supervisor FTO. I mean, you find the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
Thanks for being so wordy.
Yes, I would find that to be absolutely correct, Mr. Cooley.
Thank you. That's
Okay.
much better.
So now, here is what I stated when this case first started.
Yes.
Okay? And it was just the popcorn being thrown in his face,
Mm-hmm. That's how it was reported.
knowing he was 71 years old. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. This actually was never brought up in the trial. But I said he's going to be acquitted because he was stopping the commission of a violent, forcible felony.
Oh, the battery
Battery of an elderly person in the state of Florida is felony battery.
Yep.
And any felony involving the use of violence towards another is considered a forcible felony. And are you justified in the use of deadly force to stop a forcible felony?
Well, not only that, I read ahead where
Yeah,
he's 65 or older, battery on a person 65 or older. I mean, we have to worry
state
about
of Florida, it's
LT,
felony.
because
Not there, buddy. Not
he's
there.
circling around, isn't he? He's on a second go round, right?
Anyway, but you know what I thought would get him convicted? This is Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. He was the Tampa squad commander.
Yes.
Tampa's a shit show. You know he's seen some shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I really have a problem, and I know we have to wrap this episode up, so maybe I'll just go into my opinion on this. I have a hard time believing that a SWAT team commander of 30, how long was he on the job?
I don't know. how
Anyway,
long,
the starter of the SWAT team commander, the SWAT team member, you know he's seen some shit, shooting somebody over a cell phone, getting thrown at him, and some popcorn.
Yeah.
I personally, I don't buy it.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
He could have turned around and he could have escaped that situation without any issues, probably. And you know what? If the guy chases him down and grabs him, lays hands on him, and is up in his face, okay, then we have a different situation.
We've got somebody who tried to de-escalate, tried to
Absolutely.
leave the scene, tried to disengage, and he's still attacked. And then that was the last resort. I absolutely, I get that.
I agree that more than likely there was certainly a different way to handle this case.
Yes.
I don't disagree with that statement at all. What I do want to say, though, is this is what our criminal jury system is all about.
Right.
Okay? The state was unable to prove beyond a reasonable doubt
So let's talk
that he
about that.
committed
for a
that
minute.
crime.
What does the state have to prove?
They have to prove there are elements of the crime. We talked about it earlier. You were talking about this is what second-degree murder is.
Right.
Okay, but all of that is based on, unlawful intent to do these acts.
Right.
Okay, and
They had to convince a jury.
right,
Beyond
without
a
lawful
reasonable
authority,
doubt.
without lawful authority to do this.
Yeah.
So a
And-
jury of non-police officers, that is one thing you have to understand. As a police officer, you are never tried by a jury of your true peers.
Right.
No.
You're held to police officer standards, but you're tried by non-police officers.
Now you bring up a great question. So let's say theoretically that this jury was full of retired police officers, and they removed the "hey, he's one of ours." You think he was found guilty?
Honestly, I think he would have been.
I totally think so too.
I think cops also look at it
Yeah.
from their own viewpoint and say, I don't think that was a good decision that he made.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
But,
The
but
jury made their decision.
the jury made their decision, and there's a lot of cases I wasn't happy with the jury decision on. And I think we're going to talk about one of them in the next show we're going to do. But the jury made the decision. And if we've got to accept the jury decision on this case, or on case A, you got to accept it on case B.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
You got to accept it on all of them.
Yeah.
Right. That's
not-
what makes
not-
this country work.
Right. I was just going to say, I almost said, unfortunately, it's not unfortunate. Some cases, yeah, we think that maybe the jury kind of blew it, but you know what? That's why we have the system.
That's the
Our
system we
system
have.
is set up is you have to be proven guilty.
All right, so here's my question. Reference this case, and then we're going to wrap it up. You arrive on scene. You're given all the information that John just gave you, and you're seeing what you see. Would you have arrested Reeves that night?
As a patrol,
Yeah.
no. As detective, yes.
Would you have arrested him as patrol? They tell you, okay, let me back up.
He made admissions. He made the admissions. Yes, I would have arrested him.
Okay. They tell you it's your case. You're handling it, your patrol, whatever you are.
Okay.
It's your case.
I think there's enough there to make an arrest.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
What about you?
I would not have.
No.
No. I would not have arrested
Would
him.
you have forwarded to state attorney's office for
Yes.
decision?
I would have gathered all the paperwork, all the statements, all the information. I would have put together the entire report, everything. I would have hand walked that to the state attorney's office, sat down with them, explained everything, and had them make that decision.
And I do have to say, and I'm going to make this quick too, but we weren't there, and you don't see
That's true.
his appearance, you don't see his behavior.
Very true.
And
Yep.
you can see
Yep.
when victims actually are scared.
Right. True.
But we're talking about it from here
Right.
without having been there.
Right.
Absolutely. And that was
So-
just,
so that is
No, I think it's a great question, LT.
Yeah.
All right, you want to
so-
land this plane?
Well, you know what? We forgot to mention. I wonder if you guys noticed, we changed things around here at the Ronnie Studio.
I
bar.
didn't even notice.
Yeah, okay.
I've been drinking enough.
We turned everything around so that we're more facing the audience. We've got our microphones lined up now where hopefully it sounds a little bit better. And Camille's not turning around like this and talking to John. We're kind of more...
John's not in the dark.
John's not in the dark. He's center stage now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you guys like the new setup. Put us a comment down there if you watched our other episodes. Let us know what you think of the new setup. It was a lot of work kind of moving everything around and changing everything. I like it better. I think the inflection and everything towards the camera is better, but let us know.
Yeah,
All right, guys. Hey, just remember, let's get your beers or whatever you got. At Surviving the Badge,
We still
we
got
still
your
got your
six.
six. Hell yeah.